very nice decision here with Sam Kynoch at Kynoch Boxing Gym. How are we doing today?
Grand, thank you.
Obviously a couple of weeks, well, a week and a bit now till the world title fight on the June 15th at Paisley Lagoon. Hannah Rankin in action. Looking forward to it?
Yeah, looking forward to it. At this moment in time, it's just kind of like dealing with all the administrative work in relation to obviously the IBO, making sure the opponents over here and all the kind of bits and bobs with it being a week and a half away. But no, really looking forward to it. It'll be good.
Yeah. Obviously, by the time this comes out, fight's been shown on BBC as well. BBC Scotland, massive platform. Yeah, getting BBC Scotland on board is great. So that's been in place for some time. It's just been a while before we've been able to announce it. So, but I think it's great. I think it's good. It's obviously history in the making is the name of the event. But Hannah will become Scotland's first female world champion, all going according to plan on 15th of June. So really pleased to hear that BBC have picked it up. And not only Hannah's fight, it's got a good undercard as well. In particular, Martin Taylor against Ahmed Ibrahim for the Scottish title. So it's good. It's a Scottish channel showing a Scottish female athlete and two Scots boxers against each other. So obviously,
it's good.
Hannah's had some massive fights recently. I think last time I spoke to her was before the first world title fight, and then to jump straight into another one with Josie Shields.
Yeah, she's not looking to take the easy path, that's for sure. And she's just back from a sparring camp with Napoleon, the opponent she boxed in the first world title challenge over in New York, and yeah, she's definitely learned a lot in the interim period, and I think that was evident in sparring. So you get out what you put in this sport, and Hannah works tirelessly, hence winning the WBC silver that springboarded into the Clarissa Shields fight, you know. So she's putting it in, and in the female game, there's no two ways about it that she's getting opportunities because there's a smaller talent pool there because there's fewer women. But at the same time, there are lots of women that have been pro for several years and just haven't taken a test. Hannah's going out there time and time again. She's willing to take hard fights, and she's testing herself in sparring and everything else. And Sarah Curran, her opponent, is not the easiest opponent we could have got, you know. She can fight, and I think it's going to make for a really entertaining fight, but Hannah's not looking for a pushover, you know. She wants to be tested, so I think the fans have been for a treat because styles wise I think they're going to just go toe to toe in that one.
Is this the first one you've had televised sort of on national TV this
yes, it's the first time working with the BBC, and under the Kynoch boxing banner. It's the first bit of television we've had, so yeah, really pleased to have it. And I think so I see several platforms out there, but I think, you know, a channel that everybody's got, and it's the BBC, so there'll be elements of the show will be streamed online, and then the rest will be televised. I think you're just hitting a really massive audience, which is good for the sport as a whole, and of course for the boxers in the bill, and for Kynoch boxing as a brand. So yeah, it's good for everyone.
It's good that sort of invest in boxing, because obviously BBC have picked up some of the St Andrews shows as well. More coverage can't be a bad thing.
No, absolutely. I think if everyone had that approach, and a lot of people in Scottish boxing right now are thinking along such lines, that it's good for everybody, you know. So like Cash winning the title was shown on the BBC, now Hannah going on to win the world title, so the fans then become familiar with who the kind of faces and names are in Scottish boxing, so it's a good thing for everyone. But no, I'm certainly delighted to be involved with the BBC, and I'm working with them, and hopefully it's the first event of many.
Yeah. Obviously Undercard, as you mentioned, Martin Taylor, Aberdeen, two of your boxers. Going toe to toe should be a good one. Yeah,
styles wise again, I think that one just really gels well. Martin's been pro for longer, but his in-ring experience is less than Ahmed's, so it's a really interesting one. It's going to be really good, you know. So Martin's 6 fights, 6 wins. Ahmed 9-2-1, but you look at the 2 losses. Corey Gibbs from Birmingham's a great fighter, and obviously Harry Davies at sub 24 hours notice. So yeah, it's a really good fight, and yeah, can't say much.
I was going to say, can you pick a winner from that?
Nah, I genuinely think it's a really hard one to call, and I'll be on the fence and just looking forward to it. And I think it'll be an entertaining one. So I'm glad the way it's looking. The BBC coverage should be showing Hannah's fight and that fight, which I'm really pleased about. Because albeit Hannah's is a world title fight, we want to get as much on there as possible. They were talking about, you know, just raising the profile of the sport in general terms. It's grand, the rest of it being streamed, but the more we get content wise on the television, the better. So yeah, that'll be a really good fight. Looking forward to that one.
For sure. Busy undercard as well. There's quite a lot of debutants and sort of guys back out as well.
Yeah, so 8 fights in total on the undercards. It was a 10 fight bill. 2 debuts: Kasim Salim, a heavyweight, and Ian O'Connor, who's a light heavyweight, might come down to super middle in due course. They're both making a debut, and Jordan McCorry boxing as well. So Jordan was going to be boxing, I shan't give the name, a former title challenger in a really pretty tasty fight. So obviously it's come back fight from the Sam Bowen fight, but then in the interim over the last few weeks we've been discussing the Archie Sharp fight. That's now, as of today, been announced for the WBO European on the Dubois Gorman undercard at the O2. So Jordan will just be doing a 4-rounder, a kind of routine fight, as routine as it gets when you walk into the ring, as history kind of tells you. Nothing's a certain in this sport, but we're taking a kind of more routine fight just in preparation for that one.
Yeah, obviously Jordan having the big fight with Sam Bowen recently on Frank Warren's card, and Frank Warren call again for... Yeah,
I think Jordan showed he's at that level. You know, Sam Bowen's tough, he's been blowing everyone away. Jordan, I thought, boxed really well, but I think Jordan has got a lot more to his game than he showed on that night, and I think he's been straight back in the gym from that one. I think he's improved in the gym, and I think he'll show that in this fight. And actually Sharp's a completely different fighter to Bowen, you know. He's obviously a lot more elusive and perhaps you could say more skilled, but he's not as powerful, so it'll be a really interesting fight. Really rate Archie Sharp, great fighter, but I think it's a really good fight for Jordan, and I'm quite confident for him.
Yeah, that Sam Bowen one, I think there was quite a bit of talk about. You were obviously in the corner for that one, the way the referee sort of handled some of that fight. There was some criticism, I think Ross is sort of, and Keegan Craig as well.
Absolutely. The referee saying to him, if you don't, you know, if you continue holding, then you won't be paid. Now, when someone's in the ring, heat the moment, boxing, essentially putting their life on the line with a purse at the end of it, to say that mid-fight he's coming back to the corner and asking that question, and it's factually incorrect as well. If you're disqualified, your purse is withheld, subject to review by the board. So it was, number one, a factual inaccuracy, but number two, you just shouldn't be putting that in someone's head, because then it changed tactics for Jordan, because then he's thinking about, if I hold on again here, or you know, I'm going to get disqualified, I'm not going to get paid. It really kind of threw him, you know, but no excuses. Sam Bowen was the better man. He was going to win, irrespective. Nobody's saying that if Jordan hadn't had that warning, you know, the fight would have taken a different course, but I didn't think it was terribly appropriate myself, and I just happened to be, I'm not involved in Jordan's camp in terms of his training in any way, but he asked me to go in the corner as a second, along with Ross and Craig, who's his main trainer. And by virtue of the fact that I'm his manager and know the kind of rules and regs a bit better than the people, I kind of was able to reassure him a little bit and say, look, just don't worry about that, worry about the fight, you know, without going into on the green book it says, you know. So that was it. But no, it was a good experience. Jordan obviously had the fight over in Geneva in December. It was a 12-rounder, and then he's went into that fight. But Geneva, you're away from home comforts and everything else. This last one was main event on BT. So he's had that, now he's going back into, he's not the main event, but he's at the O2, he's on BT, he's used to the whole setup, the press conferences, etc, etc. So I think he's going to be that little bit more comfortable, and I think we'll see more from Jordan in this fight, not just by virtue of the fact it's a different opponent and everything else, but just because he's got that experience of the Bowen fight, he knows the setup and everything else.
Okay, so how much impact does that have? Because obviously, I think when I spoke to him before, he was wanting to make the step up for titles, and then obviously he's got two shots with this one with the European title. It's a massive opportunity. Yeah,
he's in a good run. He's fortunate in the sense that he's in a division where there's a lot of kind of good fights out there domestically, but it's also down to his hard work. And you know, if he'd have boxed Bowen and got blown away and around, there'd be no interest in the Sharp fight. Let's be honest, Frank Warren's team view this as a yardstick for Bowen beat him in this fashion. In what fashion does Sharp beat him? It's for Jordan to go and say, well, no, he's not going to beat me, and then he's the one that's in the mix, you know, like in the same way as Ronnie Clark went down and beat Zelfa Barrett. That wasn't in the script, as it were, but that's just boxing, you know. So he's in a good position because of his performances, and he's been pro a long time and been in some big fights. He's Scottish champion, everything else, so he deserves them. But yeah, it's coming together nicely for him.
Yeah. I don't know if you've actually, I didn't mention this with you before, but July, I think end of July, you might have a show on. Is that public knowledge, or
me having a show? South? Oh yeah, end of July, yep. So there is going to be an event, it's going to be a Rich Energy event, so it'll be Kynoch Boxing Association with Rich Energy. Headline, but it's going to be Lucas Brown. Jay Carrigan-McFarlane's going to be on the bill. We've not done anything by virtue of kind of promoting it as yet, but it's not a secret. So yeah, end of July down the York Hall. So that's a bit of a change of tack. Something I would say, it's not strategically, it's not something for me. Like I'm kind of like doing Kynoch boxing because I really like Scottish boxing. I like being at home and everything else, you know. And as you know, in a previous capacity, I was kind of travelling about more, and I really like just being at home and building Scottish boxing. That's what I'm passionate about. So to then kind of going to a show in London seems a bit strange, but I've got a close working relationship with William Story of Rich Energy, who I work with in relation to Jay's career. So not delighted to be doing that, and I think there's definitely scope for more collaboration between myself and Rich Energy, be that on events up here, building things around Jay, and then if it's the odd thing in London and elsewhere, then so be it. It's things for the good of the stable. Obviously we've got Jay on this one, and down the line there'll be scope to get other kind of boxing athletes out on these promotions, you know. So William at Rich Energy's obviously got Lucas Brown, but speaking to several other boxers, so their presence in the boxing world, I feel, is something which is going to grow in due course.
Obviously recently Ross Murray as well picked up his WBC silver title. Sort of spoke to him afterwards, obviously delighted. I think probably had he said there was quite a lot of talk with the titles. Obviously I think you had quite a bit of juggling act trying to work with the different associations to get him a belt on the line.
It was meant to be a WBO European. We managed to source one person in Europe who could make light flyweight. Then after it being on for like 4 weeks, he just said he was stopping boxing for a while. So we're kind of back to square one, and then really struggling. Then we managed to get the WBC win and get obviously John Chua from Tanzania. So it tied in well in the end. But that was just, I think as a story, Ross turning pro at 34, boxed for the WBO European against St Edwards, boxed for the Commonwealth against Jay Harris, who's now the European champion. Both guys are naturally far bigger than him and very capable boxers. To get him that fight at home, to win that WBC ranking title, coming to the pro games so late, I think it's a great story. I'm certainly delighted to have been involved kind of in the process with Ross, but it speaks volumes about Ross. Has never pulled out of a fight. He's accepted every challenge. He accepted the Scottish title fight. I think it was going to be his 4th fight. His opponent Adam McKenzie withdrew twice, so we had to move on from that, and then the Edwards fight came. You know, he's seized the opportunities. Much like I'm saying about Hannah, you know, Hannah's not knocking back fights. Hannah's not telling me, you know, I'm not in camp. I've got a holiday. If you ask her to fight, she's going to fight. You know, the professional boxer, the kind of clues in the name. Be a professional and you reap the rewards, and Ross is kind of is doing just that. You know, so it's great for him. Where we go from here, we're still just a little more than 2 weeks. He only got the actual belt yesterday because of a mix up with the WBCs. You know, he was presented with Gary Jacobs' his old
guy in France.
WBC one, so it was sent to France. He said he just got the belt yesterday, so give him a bit of time to enjoy that. But Ross is certainly keen to explore what opportunities there are out there, be it either a defence of that title or if there's something.
Because that gives him a ranking in the top
15
absolutely. In the WBC.
Puts your name in the rankings. I said to Ross last night, when we were looking at titles, we were kind of scouring the rankings and saying, right, he's got that. So people are going to now see Ross's name there, and if people want to make offers, then please do. But I don't think there's going to be a huge amount within Europe by virtue of the fact he's a light flyweight. So maybe coming from further afield, but we'll work away and I'll work with Ross and see what he wants to do. But I just think that was a great night for him, and if that's the pinnacle of his career, then great. I think it was a brilliant night. You know, he did all his family and friends there. It's a great title to win, beat a credible opponent in an entertaining fight. Ticked a lot of boxes, you know. As I say, turning pro at 34, putting his heart and soul into it. He could walk away with his head held high now, even though I don't think that's what he's going to do. I think he's going to box on, but he's achieved a lot and a pleasure to deal with. Like I say, you get out what you put in, you know. You can have all the management and promotion and question in the world. You need to get out of your bed early in the morning and go running. It's a hard sport. You have to diet. You know, Ross could have said, I'm not going to make light flyweight. He's small, so he's too small for flyweight, he's too small for superfly, but that doesn't mean he's walking around at 7 stone 10, far from it. You know, he still has to dedicate himself and commit himself to his diet.
It's obviously a hobby for him as well. He always thinks about it not being a priority for him when it's sort of definitely a side thing for him.
Absolutely. Yep, and he's still managed to get it done. So, yep, big respect to Ross.
When you're sort of sitting there as well, people being up for fights, do you find? I probably don't want to name anyone, but like, is there sometimes where you're like, I wish some people would be willing to fight more?
I wish people would be willing to fight more. I wish people would stay in shape more. I think there's a real drive towards, and I think there's a lot to do with the prevalence of social media, and even like just people looking at like what we used to watch 24/7 with Mayweather, people being in this whole concept of in camp and things. Like, you can be in camp and a professional boxer earning multi-million-pound purses, so by virtue of that you have to fight 2-3 times a year. But I think you're getting some guys turning pro, changing their Facebook status on Facebook to professional boxer, and they're in camp, then after camp they can't wait to eat this, they can't wait to do that, they're going to take this amount of time off. Alright, you need a rest, it's a very hard sport, I appreciate that, but at the same time you need to be on it, because you don't know when an opportunity is going to present itself, and it's about continuous professional development. I was a solicitor before. If I said, I've just completed that deal, now I'm going to go and, I don't know, like, bang my head of a brick wall, or like make myself less articulate or less learned in the law, people would think I'm mad. But that's what boxers are basically sometimes saying. I know this isn't a criticism leveled against all boxers, because it's such a hard sport. Of course you need a rest, but some guys just want to do train, box a journeyman over 4 rounds and then go out partying for a week with their friends, drinking, eating rubbish. It's just like, be a bit more on it. Like you can kind of party when you're at the top, or I prefer after your career, because it's such a short window you've got. Like, guys need to just seize the opportunity a little bit more. Not leaving criticism direct against anybody necessarily within my stable, but I know it's commonplace across the sport. If people aren't saying that, they're telling lies. Yeah. It is a bit of an issue, I feel. I've got the pleasure of being happy with the boxers I work with, but even within that, I'm not going to name them, but there's some that they know, and I tell them, like, come on, that you can't be getting an opportunity, right? There's a fight, especially when you're not signed to a big promotional stable. You've got to be ready to seize your opportunity, and sometimes it would be strategic by virtue of the fact that I've got fighter A, I'm going to offer fighter B that with a finite notice period, or it's not always the case. It's just the fact that people get injured, something crops up.
I guess with Jordan as well, obviously, like it's 4 or 5 weeks notice. Well, sort of since the fight's been made, I guess.
Absolutely. So with this one, we've known for a little while, and Jordan's always kind of been working towards the June 15th date for a pretty hard fight. So it's worked out. We're quite fortunate in that respect. But in other instances, he's taken fights at shorter notice. When he went down and beat the Namibian opponent he had down in Manchester. We took that a couple of weeks' notice. It's just about being on it, and sometimes you're unlucky. You come out of camp, your weight does naturally fluctuate, after a fight, and you can't take it, but you need to give yourself every possibility, every chance. I can't determine necessarily when an opportunity is going to present itself, so just be ready, But like I say, most of the boxers are kind of getting that, and I've got some other boxers as well who have learned from it and have losses on the record, and they can put that down to not being on it in between camps. I'm not going to name names, but there's boxers that have told me that, and they've learned from it. They've learned from having mass fluctuations in between fights and all the kind of things. It's obviously so topical at the moment. Not feeling right before fights is another thing. This is totally. People have speculation in relation to Joshua. That happens at every level in the sport. It's just obviously under the spotlight because it's him. And then when it comes to seizing your opportunity, Andy Ruiz, of course. Whereas you hear Ortiz didn't take the fight, and then you're like, well, why is that? There's a whole conspiracy in relation to that. But nobody knows. It's kind of like, I see the boxers sometimes when we're evaluating things, a bird in the hands with 2 in the bush, and you just do not know what's around the corner. God forbid any boxer can walk in the ring and suffer an injury, be it a terrible hand injury or anything else, that brings the curtains down on their career. It doesn't happen in other walks of life. It's such a volatile sport that sometimes you've just got to seize opportunities a little bit earlier than you might otherwise, you know, and have that self-belief.
Yeah, sure. You obviously done a show up in Aberdeen as well, co-promotion with Northern Sporting Club.
Yep.
Dean Sutherland obviously headlining and winning that fight as well. Obviously both of them, both guys undefeated going into it, and probably against the norm.
Definitely made the fight. Both 6-0. Cian McMahon had a really good amateur record, really good pedigree, and I did some diligence. People know in Ireland as you would before you make the fight, and the consensus was he was good, but he hadn't boxed anybody, so it's really hard to know. That can, you know, he's blowing away journeyman. That could be by virtue of the fact that he's gonna blow a journeyman away, but in the same fashion he'll blow anyone away because he's blowing them away. So we knew he had the amateur period. We didn't know what to get. I was really impressed with Cian McMahon on the night. He boxed really well. He rallied. He pushed Dean hard, and it made for a really good 8-round fight, a good learning fight. And I think that Cian McMahon will come again. But it showed where Dean's at in terms of winning the fight against such a credible opponent and taking the chance, you know, to kind of go for that fight. But also shows, you know, it's a step on the journey for him, so he'll learn from that fight, and he could have done certain things better, but we're criticising a guy that he's only now 12 months a pro in his 7th fight.
Boxing beforehand,
you know, exactly. So it was a great performance from Dean and a really, really good fight for the fans. Dean probably, management perspective, Dean could have boxed a lot more and won it easier. Promotional perspective for David at the Northern Sporting Club and myself, like that was entertaining. It was a proper fight, you know. So he was in a real life fight there. And now he puts himself. His box rec isn't a definitive guide, but he's number 12 in UK. It shows kind of where he's at. You know, he's rated higher than other Scottish boxers, and in Scottish boxing, there's between Dean, Martin Harkin, who just won the Celtic in dramatic style, and Stuart Butt, who they were mooted to box one another. I presume now there's a high chance of that happening, you know, between those three. It's a really interesting mix, and Dean's not going to avoid either of them, and that's not being cocky or gallus and saying, I think he'd beat either of them. Utmost respect for both, but if you want to be the British champion, then you've got to be fighting guys in Scotland, you know. And I've been discussing with Dean, as I do with all my boxers, about routes and things. He's won this BUI Celtic title, which I like because it's an 8-rounder, and that's a prerequisite for getting a shot at certain bigger titles. If you haven't went the 8-round distance, then you can't box for, say, the Commonwealth and so on and so forth. So we've got that. The next logical step is the Scottish title, if it's there, or the Celtic title, the Border Control Celtic, not the BUI version he won. So we just kind of take it as we see it, but you know, the traditional route's fine, and if that means boxing all Scottish fights, then so be it, you know. Yeah. So you're not scared to kind of break the mould, as it were, because I think the time of guys going 15, 16 fights undefeated against nobody's it's not going to serve them well, you know. And I think that was part of the. I think Dean would have beat Cian irrespective, but Dean had the better grounding because he had a really hard fight at Turnberry against Ryan Toms, and you learn from that fight. You know, there's an opponent change, and there's a multitude of factors. The guy was a bit bigger, so it's identified right. I am definitely a welterweight, and everything else, you know, because Dean had been heavier for some of his fights, and now he very much knows. 10-7's where he's meant to be. So. Good night, enjoyed working with David McAllister, Northern Sporting Club, and we're going to be promoting back there later this year. That'll be announced soon. So so that's going to be a regular thing. David obviously does his thing up there, runs great events, but then there'll be collaboration at least a couple of times a year. Dean's a really big draw up there. I think Dean's going to go really far, and I've got other boxers. Corey McCulloch made his debut on the bill from Arbroath. It also suits quite well for Paul Kynoch to be on the bill, but picked up an injury for my Dundee boxers, so we can kind of supplement the bill and kind of build it up that way. And I've just signed Luca Micheletti from Inverness, and you know, Aberdeen could work for him, so a lot of scope for collaboration up there and getting different boxers on the bill.
Right, for sure. I think I've spoken to you before about Dundee as a venue. Obviously you've got a few sort of boxes there. I think the difficulty is securing a venue that would host the boxing. Is that still the case?
It remains the same. I'd love to be running events in Dundee now, but it's just really difficult. That's basically it. it's just struggling to get a venue. So the Dundee boxers at the moment I'm able to keep busy. Like Paul's going to box Stefan Sanderson 14th of September at Turnberry. That's great. Paul's fans in Dundee are already on the case for getting the hotel booked. They love Turnberry. It's a great venue and a great event. And that's a good fight, grudge match. Sanderson having won the first fight, etc. But Dundee boxers should be able to box in Dundee. Simple as that. So it's not dead in the water by any stretch of the imagination. We will get somewhere, but it's just proving difficult to get a venue. That's the issue. That's why I'm not promoting Dundee. Long and short of it, that's the only reason. I'd like to spread things out a bit, like I've alluded to in the past, but just can't get a venue in Dundee. But I'm hoping 2019 is it going to happen? 2020, I feel like I'm pushing it back. But there is a venue and a kind of format, shall we say, that we could get to work. It just needs a bit of kind of number crunching. So I'm on the case. It's something I'm actively pursuing, and as the profile of the kind of Dundee boxers grows, then there'll be even more of a need for events there.
You obviously touched on the Ayrshire show with Turnberry as well. Is there any other sort of venues that you're looking at, sort of to host shows in?
Crown Plaza, I've obviously got as my home for my boxing dinner club. Then going to Ayrshire, Turnberry, I do that in association with Wildcard Events, my friend Des Harkin, and that's a 2 times a year thing, and it's going to remain that because it's not peripheral. It's out the road. It's a destination. People go there, they stay the night. It's a 5-star plus hotel, so it's a big night out for people. You can only go to the well so many times in terms of the kind of clientele we're going to have there. It suits the Ayrshire market, but maybe something. Calvin's a big draw there, but Calvin would like to box within Ayr as well. So I'm looking at something in Ayr. Dundee definitely want to go to, and then we've got things going in Aberdeen, and obviously Luca, like I say, he's from up in Inverness. In due course, there might be cause for something further north. You
mentioned if Gary was obviously, that was sort of when he was still boxing. That was obviously the big draw.
Absolutely,
which is obviously a top blow,
Andrew Mackay as well. But Andrew's sidelined at the moment, and Gary's now obviously moved to kind of my side of the ropes. He's working with me, but by virtue of that, he's talent spotted a boxer down last weekend actually sparring. Who will look to turn in due course. So there's definitely, it's a bit of a hotbed up there. I think it's not going to come to fruition this year, but over the next couple of years that's something we're just working away on, and we'll see that. But for me, I think how Scottish boxing is built is, of course, it's great having big shows, and we're hoping that your super series events and things like that, but in terms of the kind of your bread and butter, as it were, and kind of building the profile generally, it's about having regular events, and if we're spreading them about, then there's more people hearing about the sport, and sometimes boxers from peripheral, should we say, areas in terms of boxing might think to turn pro that wouldn't before. I think it's a lot. Professional boxing is so much more accessible now. Like, I remember being an amateur, and then the first time I sparred a professional boxer, I was like, wow, he's a professional. This guy's from Glasgow. I'm from Perth, so Glasgow seemed like this massive place to me, and sparred a professional, and it was kind of like, wow, this kind of myth. Whereas like in Glasgow, you're around it all the time. Like the young boys in my gym. Cash Fruit, British champion, Ross now got a WBC title, Gary Jacobs former world title. They're in about it a bit more. But if you're taking events to Inverness, you're taking events to Dundee. I'm from Perth. I'd like to do one there in due time. If kind of circumstances permit, then it kind of engages more people in the sport, which I think is a good thing for not just me, from my selfish perspective, but Scottish boxing. For when I'm no longer involved in the sport and everything else, I think it's for the good of the sport.
Just before we finish up, obviously sad news of yesterday with Conor Law passing away. Obviously someone who came down to your gym a few times as well. Yeah,
Conor was here sparring just I think 3 weeks ago. I wasn't in the gym that day, but he was always welcome in the gym. He was always willing to help guys with their preparations, and he always made the effort to travel and put the rounds in. He's an extremely talented boxer and a really nice guy. So just thoughts with his family, friends, and Stephen Maguire at his Kynoch boxing club. So really sad news.
Good stuff. Listen, thanks for your time, and hope you enjoy the show next Saturday.
Thank you very much.